I use a detector to find out where people are in their needs with Christ. So there's a saying I have, is sort of a formula. It goes, to know him is to love him. And that's scripture. If you know God and you, as you say, discover him in the scripture, you discover him when you're suffering and he's right there sticking closer than a brother, you can't help but love him. He's absolutely lovable.
Mhm.
So to know him is to love him. But then after you love him, you begin to trust him because you've
Mhm.
tested what you hear in scripture, see in the stories, and you now have tasted and seen that it's good. So to know him is to love him. To love him is to trust him. To trust him is to obey him. And you were talking about rules, and I think that's key. A lot of times we ask for obedience long before people trust us, or
Mm.
even God will say,
Mhm.
hey, you need to clean up your act. You need to do and do and do and obey and obey and obey. But we haven't allowed them the time to know him, to love him, and to trust him. And we're putting the cart before the horse.
Mhm.
So if I know him and I love him and I trust him, then I will obey him. It will be natural.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think about my students again, right? Like when you explain the rules and stuff, and once they trust me, once they've built that relationship with me, they're like, they understand like Miss Ruckley's not doing it for us. She's doing it for the good of the classroom. Like she's not going to ask us anything just arbitrarily. Now there are some teachers that do. They just ask and they don't explain why, and they don't, and the kids don't trust that, so they test it more. So I like how you're saying like those steps.